Hey, we have a quorum. Welcome everybody. Yeah, all meetings in order. And we will roll call. Commissioners, Aaron Adams.
Here.
Here. Bill Norman.
Here.
And I'd like to ask, listeners, and we're now, Terry, Mark Sala, to be excused.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor? All opposed? Motion passes. So we have some workshop minute meetings, from, actually have two. One was the special workshop minute meetings from November the 10th and the 16th. So let's work through the 10th workshop meetings. And are there any revisions or modifications?
So, yeah, I move that we accept the minutes as written.
Okay. We have about, okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Workshop minute meetings are effective for November 10th, 2022. Moving on to the November 16th, 2022 minute meetings, any revisions, modifications, or adjustments. Wait,
Yeah, I moved that the minutes for the November 16th meeting be approved as written.
motion, wait a second.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
And all opposed?
Who seconded the first one? Oh, no, first one was Jen. Kindle, because there's a few.
Um,
Plus, you're playing to that vast viewing audience.
Yeah.
We have just two people online.
Any comments, anybody online? Going forward to general business. So we did discuss, and I know several of us had discussions and recommendations on public engagement resource description, and we looked at 4 vendors. Public input, civic engagement, HOCO, Zen City. Now I'd like to open that up for discussion, and several of it, I think all of us did send in comments.
All for you, yeah.
And so why don't we start with just doing a survey, and let's start with Bill.
Can I interrupt before you do that? Mark, did you have any introductory comments you wanted to make regarding the what you're hoping to get out of this?
Sure. Give me a quick physical thumbs up if you can hear me.
I can hear you.
Okay, good.
Are you able to hear me?
Yes. All right. So yeah, thank you. So yes, so hopefully each of you has had the opportunity to review and kind of evaluate the comments that the input that was provided by each of the other members that provided it. And so really what I hope to have happen tonight is to have a lively discussion based on your evaluation of each other's comments in total, and to have that conversation kind of lead to our intent on the 20th of December, which is next Tuesday at the council meeting, to present to council our staff's recommendation of which platform we are going to then bring before them on January 3rd for an approval, a purchase approval to move forward with implementation. And so however that conversation looks tonight, Robin, that is what I'm hoping to achieve, just to get some dialogue between the members of the commission circulating, so that at the end of the conversation, we have a fairly good idea of what some of the preferred capabilities of the final platform that we go with are, what maybe some future needs look like that we want to focus on incorporating into a platform going forward, and maybe what some deficiencies are that you were hoping to see that you didn't, or something like that, so that we can keep those in mind for maybe recommendations to a vendor for future releases. So that's really what we're hoping to achieve by tonight's conversation.
Were you all able to hear that?
So tonight, during our discussion, and our decision then will be relayed to the city council. Then I just want to make sure I understand this on the next city council meeting on the 20th. And then we will provide them that justification on why the decision, why we would recommend this vendor. Is that correct?
I'm not sure that I heard that entire question, but what we are going to do on the 20th is we are going to present to council staff's recommendation for the platform that we will then bring back a action item for purchase authorization on January 3rd. And so if the question was what's happening on the 20th, that's what's happening on the 20th. We're just going to present to council the recommended platform, give them a little insight into what it does, and then come back on January 3rd with an action item.
Okay, thank you.
Robin, were you asking what you want? What does Mark want from the group tonight? Was that your nature of your question?
Does he want a very detailed from us, which will help? I wasn't for sure on the presentation to the city council, but I understand staff, probably you or him, will present that based on our recommendations tonight.
Yeah, Mark, she's wanting to know how detailed of information you want from this group tonight.
Well,
What you're wanting from the group.
Yeah, I was hoping, since you've all had the opportunity to read each other's input, but not necessarily had an opportunity to discuss it, that tonight's time would be giving everyone the opportunity to ask any clarifying questions, bring out points from someone else's input that you had not previously necessarily considered. And then at the end of that, hopefully come up with a consensus of what, if not a specific product, a specific list of priorities that you believe is most important for us to have in a platform moving forward.
Does that answer your question? Okay.
Thank you, Mark. So with that, I think we're just open up that discussion this time. Certainly one of us who must go through because we will provide our opinion after they have some dialogue because we turn some of those. And let's see, we have to on the flip chart potentially, and so if we can get down to at least a couple of preferred and then get down to the final. So,
And I'll throw out, there may not necessarily be a final that all four of you pick as your number one. Maybe a thing we're looking at is what are the key features of one or two of these options that you would or think are important to the residents who live in Liberty Lake that they would benefit from. That's a possibility. It may be possible all four of you really like one in particular. It's also possible some of you really may want to advocate for a specific feature you want to make sure gets included in whatever gets picked. And maybe that's one of two options, maybe one of three. Just throwing out some possibilities here. Is that correct, Mark? Is that what you're looking for?
Right. We're looking for the commission as a body to have this discussion and feel comfortable, regardless of which direction staff goes in its recommendation, that there's been an opportunity to talk about capabilities, deficiencies, needs for the future. And then if consensus on a specific platform is there, great, let us know what that is. But we want this conversation to be more about capabilities that this platform needs to have in order to accomplish the level of engagement that both council and the commission is looking for.
And I think I sent this out, that Mark Saba, he didn't send in evaluations, but he sent some, I thought, good guiding questions to consider that you may want to all look at as well and discuss amongst the group tonight. And I put his at the end of the feedback pages that all four of you had sent in.
and here they are. There's some things
So let's start talking about them.
Yeah.
I dismissed civic engaged out of hand. I thought that it's one of the service, but you don't live in the tornado belt, and you can't predict earthquakes. I just don't think we need. What the strong suit seemed to be for them was giving people information quickly about bad weather or something that's going to happen. We've got stuff. The public input, I thought that was neat. And I wasn't really inspired by the presentation that they showed. There may be more there, but I didn't get it from their presentation that I was able to look at. So the only two that I want, that I don't care to talk about at all, are Polko and Vin City. And of those two, some things, questions that I would have before recommending one over the other. One of the things that impressed me about Polko was the depth and breadth of the surveying that they would do. I see that they're cheap either. But not only in Zen City, it was really attractive the way that we could showcase either projects or issues in the community and solicit information about them. What POCO seemed to allow us to do also was in an ongoing way to evaluate the people that we were reaching, which is really what we're supposed to be about. Who are we reaching, and as important at least, who are we not reaching? And are we not reaching them, or are they simply not responding? And I felt like this company could help us ask and answer those questions with some credibility that would be that would allow us then to do a better job of soliciting the conversations and input that we're speaking about the broader questions and the questions that are unique to Liberty Lake. So, so I really like them for that reason. Now, I'm not sure, Zen City may be better at that than they appear. They were showcasing just the ability that they were facilitating to create images and perhaps stimulate conversations around whatever we showed. And while I think that's good and it gets to what we are supposed to be helping foment as a commission, I still think I get back to POCO helping us be smarter about that and being sure. And I think this haunts public servants across the nation. Who's not seeing, who's not hearing, who's not, what are we doing that is maybe being, creating a barrier for someone to participate with us? And that really strikes me as being important to the decision we're going to recommend and ultimately take. So, so my thoughts go right to, the four that we've seen, my thoughts and inclinations go right to POCO and Zen City. And if today I were prioritizing them, I would put POCO ahead of Zen City for those reasons.
Robin, do you want me to take any notes for you, or do you want to handle that?
Maybe I
You're-
should, because I'm doing on my computer, my
It may be okay. It's up to you. Your call. If you want to do it, that's fine.
Yeah, Zen City.
There was more.
I thought there was more analysis that allowed us then to evaluate our reach and the weaknesses of our reach. And I think that would be ultimately really important. If we can get it in some other way, maybe the city already has mechanism for that. If we didn't need that, then I put them both on the same similar thing. But yeah.
Well, but I'm kind of on par with Bill as far as the disregard the civic ready. And like I said in my notes, public input, I'm a little less impressed with their presentation. Same thing. There may be more to them that I just wasn't getting with public input, but I felt like there were better options. So I would be between POCO and Zen City as well. And some of that, I think, has to do with what our priorities are. So same thing, what I sent out to everybody was, I think that POCO is excellent at the survey aspect of it. I think that they're better at that than than Zen City, or at least how user friendly it seemed, and the analysis part of it, I think was key, but Zen City had more dynamic options as well outside of just the survey. So honestly, I think it depends on what our priorities are for, using.
I agree totally with that, and I think Zen City felt inviting, you know, if you want to stimulate. Yeah.
Jennifer, what do you mean by dynamic? Could you
Well,
define?
they have a landing page, right? So you can have information that was there, you can use all the handy tools that they had in addition to surveys and just general input that they had there. It seemed more open-ended and kind of like what would it be, microsite sort of deal. So it was just kind of an all-inclusive versus just surveys. I mean, when Polka was, their main thing was surveys and analysis of surveys and whatnot, and their platform was excellent at that. But there, it didn't seem like there was a landing site and all of the other tools that came with these microsites.
So I got to share the user friendly, dynamic,
Then we more
Yeah.
dynamic.
local flag.
Bill, that's pretty good. You said Beaumont analysis.
Yes.
Yeah.
And one of the things I think that our comments suggest is maybe we should be asking Zen City how they would, to what degree they can help us analyze again what the information we're getting. In other words, if we show that 88% favor, well, but who are the people? And what we want to know who's talking to us, and we want to know who is not. And then we want to know if those who are not because they're not even aware.
I'm gonna try and put this into a, once that, you want to ask that city, because our question is, our capture is over here.
Yeah.
So.
What, ask density, what degree of analytics they can provide to help us evaluate our responses, the responses we get. Is that kind of good? Because it may be that they assume that we understand that they do that. Yeah.
So, there's other questions here. He's all flip charts, my board. These are just our comments, that, what, as you go, I'll keep on going through here, we don't have to just keep them to here, okay? Hey, yeah.
And I will add to this, Mark Saba he told me he's really interested to know what Aaron has to say about this.
Oh, I spent a lot of time going back through all the presentations and then going back and did a demo with Sensei. Because I missed the previous demo with you guys. The three platforms, I mean, obviously I agree with it. I think everybody's in kind of the same boat. Civic Ready, it's not the right type of platform for what we're trying to do. It's a great platform, it's cool for what it does, but it's not built around, it's not community engagement. It's not connecting with community in that way. It just doesn't make sense to kind of continue that train of thought. The other three to be honest, in the additional research that I did, when kind of looking at it, they're very similar in the back end side of things as far as what capabilities they actually have. So as far as public input, City, when you look at those three, if you want data analytics, if you want survey information as far as what constituents are participating, what geographics that are actually coming from, so you can geolocate the surveys and the households that are participating. Excuse me, all that stuff is there within the platform. To me, when I look at those three as kind of the predominant ones to be looking at, the pieces that come to mind as far as which one to potentially recommend that would rise above the others, really focus on which one's going to be easiest for the end user to actually engage with. Because it doesn't matter how pretty we make it look, or how inviting the city webpage is, or whatever else we build. If the survey, excuse me, if the survey itself is a pain, they're not going to do it. Like if we make the survey too complicated, too wordy, if the buttons are annoying, don't function the way that we want them to, it's just not going to be helpful.
But you can't buy anything today without being asked to rate it.
Right, and so I think in looking at those three, the one that is, I think, is different in the way, and what I appreciated about it more than anything else was the Zen City one, was it felt cleaner, it felt more modern, it felt like they were trying to build a platform looking forward and going, okay, what capabilities do people want? And walking through the demo with whom. I mean, I love the fact that, you close out your survey and you're automatically asked to go do something. You're asked to get other people to participate. I like that. I like the fact that after you close that out, it takes you back to main city landing page talking about the other things that are going on. So it gets you to try and re-engage with other topics and other things. I like how that flow works. So if we think about city engagement beyond just an individual survey we're sending out. So send out a survey and we go back to the whole trailhead thing, right? So we send out a survey about trailhead, but we have ARPA. We've got all these other things that the city wants input on from the city. Well, now you have a way to steer people directly into that without putting another physical survey directly in front of them necessarily. And so that kind of flow in the process and moving people through an engagement process that's more than just a singular transaction, I think to me stood out above the other two as far as it relates to the reporting and the analytics. I like that all three. From when I was messing around and trying to find tutorial videos on YouTube, which is the best way to kind of break down a software, see what YouTube videos that they actually offer. And that's honestly been something I've done in the past where I've looked at migrating a software for my own purposes. If I can't find a YouTube video on how to use that software, that means they either locked it down so tight, they're never going to be able to use it. Or nobody uses it. And people are just annoyed with it. And the things that I like about it is you're able to find a bunch of stuff that's sitting out there. I like the fact that, and even with full code and public input, you're able to find some of those user interfaces and things about here's how you build things, this is what the backend admin platform looks like. So those usability features are definitely key. The questions that I kicked back to David and kind of back to Mark to a degree too, which is thinking about it from a city standpoint, who's going to be implementing the software is a huge question, and managing that piece of it. But not just the initial implementation is going to be important, who's going to be managing it long term. So the software is going to get implemented, it's going to be here. So who within the city is now, whose purview is that now going to roll under? And then what are those processes that are getting built and supported from it? So I think there's other questions, obviously, and I'm sure Mark is already thinking about those pieces. But those are other pieces that are really coming to my mind as we kind of look at this as well. If I had to pick out of the three, to me, then I feel like is probably the stronger of the platforms. They cost more than some of the others, but I think when we look at the individual costs, I have a feeling that there's probably underlying costs with those other platforms that you're not gonna see until they actually do a build up. And you're gonna end up paying, my guess is no matter what platform that city ends up picking, the cost is gonna probably be about the same. When all is said and done, when you figure all, build out and everything else and support for it on an annual basis, I'd be shocked if the sticker price is different than more than, a couple other.
So would it be worthwhile? Sorry, I was just gonna ask. Maybe we have it down to the two is Poco and Zen City, is that correct? And to ask, so worthwhile to ask Poco, then what is the cost of your Poco? That about, what is that?
It depends on how, to me, I don't know how important it is from my perspective. I think it's more of that to me, I think it's more a budgetary question of what is it.
Mark, did you want to address the cost issue?
The cost issue of each platform.
To what degree is that a consideration of the city's decision?
Well, it's a consideration in any decision that we make when we're looking for best value of something. And in this case, we're not necessarily, we did not publish a request for proposals. And so we're not looking at proposals and comparing them against costs. What we're doing is we're looking at what we think will best achieve the objective for enhanced engagement that the council and the commission is looking for. And based on that, we budgeted an amount that we thought would be necessary to get us an annual subscription for one of those kinds of things that would meet those needs. And so we, based on the prices that we were quoted, we're right in that ballpark. And so I don't have an issue at all from a budgetary perspective with either of these proposals. Obviously, Zen City is more than the others, but as Aaron articulated, there may be some hidden costs in some of the others when we get into implementation. And so again, from a budgetary perspective, I have no concerns with any of these prices that we're looking at.
Am I correct that the Zen City price was a fixed annual subscription based on the population?
That was my understanding as well. They just looked at our population size and said it's gonna be, it was 12 grants.
I remember line that one, that's what they.
Yeah, all of these are set up as software as a service. And so there would be an annual subscription rate. And then, anything that you chose to add on beyond that, there would be an additional cost associated with that. And I think one of the things that Polco included as an option was the benchmark survey. That's kind of this national survey that they do for an additional cost. But in terms of the out of the box software as a subscription rate, their annual rate was a little bit almost half as much as Zen City's.
Right. The other piece with Zen City is they do offer the same, I don't know if they're the exact same, but from what they were showing on their, so if we wanted to follow up on that, that might be a question for Zen City, which is they do similar benchmarking survey based on the information that I was able to find. So from a comparative standpoint, assuming Zen City would still allow for benchmarking within that same cost structure, so Zen City would allow for it has that same benchmarking built into the 12,000. That would actually be significantly less than the Polco cost.
Yeah.
And Polco is limiting us to one benchmark survey and language translation is needed to the basic plan. So if Zen City opens it up to multiple benchmark surveys, my understanding of those benchmark surveys, they're excuse me, they're more department specific. So being able to go, okay, sanitation department against sanitation department, police department against police department, that's more what those benchmark surveys are really for. And kind of those contexts. And that's my understanding of it, but so Zen City is able to do that within that same cost structure. Could be a far more beneficial plan than what Oakland is able to do.
I have to ask this, whether there's the city legislative analytics to provide info regarding what we had asked Poco about the cost of whole build out Amsterdam City, about benchmarking, and if included in cost. Would be some questions. Because my feelings are really similar to how yours, and I looked at it again and went through the demos and
With your explanation, could you go to the microphone? As you explain your opinion, could you go to the microphone so we can get that in the notes?
this is so. This is. Look at some of the YouTube, trying to figure out if I was a user, what would that be? Trying to figure out maintenance. I did also, it was hard for me to exactly ask on what type of customer service. We also here, we have is, we have some people who can try, or they can train, and come with not knowing how user friendly that customer service was. And then what was a big thing for me, a topic was the usefulness, and it seemed like Pogo, they had a couple of plans and the capability to add on if needed. And but Zen City also had a fair amount of sophistication methods of collecting data. And I just wasn't sure if there were any project that coming. I think for us, Liberty Lake, meaning Liberty Lake, that it would, that we could use some of that this sophistication of Zen City so that we knew more immediate than down the road.
I certainly appreciate Aaron's analysis of Zen City and what it view does. I didn't pick up on those things, and I think they're huge.
Let me add Summer's comments. I was going to delay this in case you showed up. But you think you know, just 2 sentences. Personally, I like Zen City for the layout and individual project tracker combined with whatever quote gets the word out service we currently have or would need. And then she said, but I would defer to the group.
I think like what I'm gathering from this is, the general consensus would be Zen City, pending kind of what we hear back from them via questions about, you know, analytics and benchmarking surveys to try and pull some of the appealing aspects of Poco. The Zen City is capable of doing that, and it seems like that's the current favorite.
I'm thinking so Mark can include this in his report to the council. What are, for all of you, the big key features you feel are important for this type of service to have that fits well with residents of Liberty Lake, Washington? It's like you like this service because it's got this, or you want to make sure the city buys or subscribes to a service because it has this offering to it.
Things that come up, you want to be able to, hopefully that program or platform can grow with the circumstance that it's adaptable. That's that. Okay.
You know, it wouldn't even hurt Mark's information sharing. If each of you were to say, yes, I like this, we could say we got 4 tally marks next to this one, or we had 3 next to this one. So if it all, you know, if each one of these is a big priority item to you, you know, let's share that out so we can convey that evidence to the city council. Well, if we have the easel to go with that too.
Like, use the reincorporation and movement on the back end.
Yeah, with the back end experience.
Yeah.
Important.
Incorporation and movement.
This, it goes with the end user ease, but it needs to be, it can't assume that we're only going to communicate via the internet. It has to allow for a variety of communication.
That's what I mean, it needs to be adaptable to other forms.
Okay, good.
Like a survey for text messaging, email,
Yeah.
printed.
Yeah.
Ability to other computer systems, or what's the other word?
To other, media.
Mhm.
To other media.
No matter which platform we end up picking, that's gonna be the biggest challenge to go outside of, from a capturing standpoint. So if you go, I mean, Polko had a way of dealing with hand surveys, basically. Zen City, from what I could find, did not. So that was the only big difference that I did find. But how much is that gonna be the case? And how much do we want that to be?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's the thing, it's like, once you say, we're gonna go down the path of doing a lot of manual services, thinking about farmers market as an example, like, we want to continue doing that. It's a lot of manual tabulation. We lose things, right? How many times did that happen throughout the summer where the results were gone? And we didn't know where things, you know.
That's just because we were just part of
We were learning. So, there's a lot of opportunity for human error. Right, so that's the drawback of when we start incorporating paper into it. But then you have to take into account the percentage of individuals that you won't touch without having something physically in their hands. And trying to weigh that out. I still feel like our better avenue, even in the farmers markets, we'll be trying to find a way to get them to electronically fill something out versus handing us a piece of paper.
You want the tab.
Do up a tablet. You know, literally, I mean, they have those tablet stands, I mean, you see them at all the different grocery stores and stuff, where you like fill out a survey right here, and those are gonna be the types of things that will make any type of platform like this more effective. Because you don't have to be sitting there talking to the person about it, waiting for them to fill something out. They can just go to the tablet, see what they're gonna go up, wondering what that did was, fill it out, it will get to the platform and automatically update.
Well, and I think that that's a good idea on tablets too. I guess just my feeling is that we have to have that internet or that option, but I think that we still need to keep that personal too, so because there's so many people who still use that. I mean, we have more than just one time and looking at some of the stuff that he's on, not we did the paper that and stuff, it was the Rockies Hills, knapsack that everybody loved, and, you know, we could go out to some of these and get some more info on this, we did a car, and I guess I just feel that, that's still important. And that's more under the person to person. And that was should be this track.
And I have to say, and I want you all to bear record of this, in case my wife ever asks me, that there are people, and she's one, who is persuaded that anytime she's around electronic TV causes them to go wrong. And if you cannot enter an iPad.
Right.
Her daughters have bought her electronic readers on 3 separate Christmases over the years, which she has never turned on. So we're old and we're gonna be dead and you won't have to deal with it. But I don't know. I just don't know where that line is drawn. So I have to speak up for people who are intimidated by electronics.
Yeah.
And who will not respond to them. And maybe there aren't very many at all. I know one.
No, but you, in this type of a setting, I agree with you, you have to take an account. The varying types of individuals that are gonna be respond or not. So whether it's they don't want to physically touch something electronic because of that, uncomfortable, we'll just call it people that are uncomfortable. That's not uncommon. You know, and then you're gonna have folks that will be in this, maybe there's a language barrier that causes them to be uncomfortable to be able even participate. So, you know, and whether
Maybe an income.
maybe it's income, I mean, there's a variety of different situations where that's gonna be the case. And so I think that's part of our role as a commission, is we have to figure out what is that? What percentage of people fall into those categories? How do we facilitate still supporting them and engaging with them while still managing to the, 80%, so to speak, and saying, okay, 80% of the people that are gonna respond are gonna do so in this meeting. But then how do we help support 20% that aren't?
And it may be that we just have to do that separate.
But I
Right, certainly is this. But I would be interested in asking, because I'm thinking, my thoughts were really influenced by the things that Aaron brought up regarding Sin City. I would like to ask them if there is also included paper surveys as part of their.
And that's what I liked about Holco.
I do too, but I don't know what that looks like. You know, they might just say buy a ream of paper and print out very well, yeah. So it might not be very sweet. It might do well, it might be worthwhile to find out more about that and to find out if Sin City has any capability there or guidance.
Well, we can also confirm whether we can upload manual reports into Genesee as it relates to survey data. Because we're able to,
My recollection with Holco was there was some phrasing along the lines that they could analyze and capture common words or groups types, similar types of words together to analyze words. And I don't recall Zen City addressing that. Maybe that's something they can do, and they just tell us.
I'm pretty sure when I was looking at it, and we can double check, but I'm pretty sure when I was looking at it, that was one of the dashboard or one of the reports that was full. Cloud based on survey responses and things that we're looking at. Those are extremely common and easy to do from a system standpoint. And shocked if, again, from a reporting standpoint, I don't think you're going to see a difference as far as the types of analytics you can get out of any of those three. It's going to be how you get it from a physical process of pulling the report and building that dashboard, whatever that looks like. And then what the end report actually looks like. So there might be some nuances there, but besides that, I'd be shocked if the reports that you want, you can't get in the kind of ad hoc canned information sets that they provide.
I think Mark or I could contact him the next couple of days, no prior to Tuesday.
Basically, work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Could we just ask about how they handle non-electronic surveys or responses? I don't want to suggest word cloud because I don't want to limit what they might, how they might respond.
Well, word cloud one, and then I agree with you, I think that, and then second to that is the non-electronic surveys.
Yeah.
Paper surveys, can they be tabulated and imported? And if they can, then we as a commission or city or whoever, we need to develop a process for being able to do that, where we limit and reduce human error and potential bias. Because that's the other benefit of where everything's getting dumped into the system, is there's no inherent bias in the responses that the individuals are giving. And any information that you may inadvertently see or glean from the surveys that are being provided. So.
It's not what asked them. I didn't want to die about it. Yeah, work cloud, how do they handle non-electronic surveys? We had a whole kind of process of whole bills out, the outside. That's one, and then we can clearly get it cost.
Yeah.
That CPs and use of now, these CPs would almost, was important, like we would like to have our house and stuff that I'm really good. And you just go down the road to the other, things that are important. Things that are like the rest of the road test. And
Let me ask the question this way. In looking at these resources or the ideas you've gained from them, is there a question in your mind of, I like this feature because it offers blank? Well, excuse me, platform. Because it offers blank feature.
so I like the testimony and understood. And that I like it seemed like the people. The platform, but you could build on it. Wow. You know, we want a system for the people continually to build on that, have to look at the event in the real time and that it can be adjustable.
I think with Zen City, the pieces of the platform that I like the most is the ability for it to. It's almost like it's focused on continual engagement. So everything that it does from an end user standpoint, it's almost like it's pre-built around constantly engaging with that person, even while they're in the midst of that process. So. Like I was talking about before, where they complete the survey and automatically takes them to somewhere else to go do something. It's constantly keeping that action in front of them and keeping trying to not just have a singular engagement, but have something that's going to create continual engagement with that person. Moving them through the different opportunities for them to have conversations with the city, versus just having a singular conversation and then being done. And not moving anywhere else from there.
And so you think that's more like real time. Yeah.
I'm not necessarily real time, but I think it's the way.
They can get as much or as little out of it as they want.
Yeah, it's like, so, I take a survey with, a Zen City and I'm finishing that, 60-second survey. Let's keep them short. So, I'm finishing my survey and then it's encouraging me to invite other constituents to participate. Right, as it's completing it, then whether I do or not, that's fine, it doesn't, fault me, and then it automatically takes me to the next place, which is, here's all the other things you can learn about. Automatically, it doesn't just say, hey, goodbye, thanks, we'll be in touch. It automatically takes you back to a place where you can learn more, do more, participate. And that I like.
It does imply a real lively, active engagement on somebody's part, which is the content is, is kept current and fresh, and that there's enough there.
Yeah.
To engage people, could get stale off easily.
Yeah.
Okay, so they all have that lively engagement, so you have to be.
Yeah.
Let me give Mark some more data to play around with. If each of you was to rate those top two ones on a scale of 1 to 10, what number is each one of you giving to those two? Zen City and Poco. And maybe it's the same number for some. Just to give Mark some considerations to present.
I don't know that I could know what 10 looks like. But right now, I think I'd probably do an 8 for Zen City and maybe a 6 or 7 for Poco.
Robin, I can take notes too if you want me on that one.
She's one of the people that I did that.
Don't take my wife takes away it's a merger for me too. Like this. No. I think, from my perspective, honestly, probably similar to Bill. I would say 8%, I would say 7.5 for Poco. And honestly, and the differences between the two are, again, they're so minor, right? I mean, probably the biggest question mark is whether Zen City can do the full benchmarking. Because if Zen City can do full benchmarking, that opens up, that opens up a lot of doors that the city at some point in time is going to want to do. I mean, at some point in time, probably not right away, depending on the certain environments. But at some point in time, you want to benchmark. Okay, how's our, police department doing, fire department? How are these other departments doing, not only locally, but nationally? And so I think long term, I think that would be helpful. If the city can do that, I think that gives you a further edge.
I said 8 for Zen City.
You might not be answering this thing, but how often does Zen City open up new facilities and how often are they adapting? Is it kind of like, this is where it's at?
No, from the conversation I had with Boone and then Felix Smith, I was looking at before, and they're constantly doing releases and updates. A lot of them are minor, so a lot of them are bug fixes and other things. But if you're looking for major software changes, then maybe once every year to 18 months is something pretty common for these types of platforms. But you'll get, I mean, like for the one platform that I use for my own work, I mean, there's probably every 2 to 3 weeks there's a software update. But you're talking minor changes to code, little things here and there that are causing little things, and then probably every 6 months there's a major iteration that'll come out. That
Yeah, I'm going with that.
that's probably
Yeah,
something
if
that
they
we
don't
do.
do the benchmark now, they may add on.
Yeah, it's for something that would be that a competitor may be doing, but they're not. Those would be the things that would be covered first on the list. Where they can easily get it into the existing platform. So that's benchmarking that you've got. Again, based on what I'm seeing within there, how much is the base question?
That will be your arrangement.
I'm kind of lame because I'm kind of right where they are. 8 and 7. Yeah, if they have the capabilities of some of the things that's in cities actions for me, why bump them up to that one?
I think in the grand scheme of things, from back to Mark and feedback to the city, I mean, are they gonna go inherently wrong with any decision that the city makes? I mean, that's always the biggest question, right? And honestly, no matter what they pick, there's gonna be pain points. There's gonna be things with Sin City that they're gonna go, man, this is really terrible. There's gonna be things with Polco that are gonna say the same thing. Or with public input. I mean, there's no perfect software and there's no perfect implementation. So that would be the only, like, I guess, word of caution to council members. And I'm sure Mark, having been in this position before, knows how to articulate this, which is, it's not going to be perfect. It's just about finding the best opportunities to succeed and move things forward. And knowing that you're going to give up some things for other things in the decision that you end up making. And hopefully it's a good one that allows for long-term usage, that, you know, you don't put in resources to build out the platform, build out all these surveys and the tools and the infrastructure and release it. And then a year or two down the road, go, you know, we're going to go with about pace. Like, I mean, this should be an investment that, you know, if whichever platform they decide on that, you know, you're like, hey, this is a 5-year commitment at least.
Well, you know, on that point, it's really a 1 year.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying, to be able to really see it through. I mean, in a year, it's gonna take you 6 months just to get the thing open, off the ground. So let's talk, you know, 90 to 180 days. So by the time farmers market rolls around, we should be starting to be live. And depending on how fast the city moves and how fast other people move along with it and how much you end up getting built out. Right, so, and then it's using it and then breaking it and fixing it again and doing different things with it. I mean, it's like part of learning with the software is like, it's going to evolve with the city as it figures out how to use it effectively. What doesn't work when they're trying to use it, how to structure it appropriately. I mean, but you've got smart people around you, and that's, you know, which will help guide that. But a year in, you'll have some information to help, but it's going to be 2 years, 3 years, 4 years where you really start to see the benefits of something.
And that's why, when we first started this, you know, as a fortunate that we couldn't do a pilot project or something, so that we knew, like we have it now, it's good. That Polco and Zen City, and I think we both feel confident in those two there. But you don't know. They were those, I don't even know they're. You know, it's that we even, that we could start up to get that.
Well, actually, you know, a couple of things that we will, I think, very quickly be using one of these for will be feedback on the academy. What types of information do people want to know about? Then how do we get it out to people? Podcast ideas. Eventually, the city budget process again for next year. Mark, there's one more. It's not coming to my mind right now. You and I talked about
The two major items that would be included there would be the city's new strategic plan. The current one's coming on its 5th anniversary, and so it needs to be refreshed. And then the second one would be the comprehensive plan, which is getting ready to open up in 2024.
and then Robin, can you give me your numbers, 1 to 10 on both? We're not letting you get out of this. Okay. let me address that. Maybe this could also be good information for Mark. If staff were to pick either one of these, how upset would you be if we picked one choice over the other, or would you be satisfied really with either one of these? To what degree would you be upset if one in particular got picked over another?
I respect the research that Aaron did. So, no. What I'm saying, I would think that we've got two good choices there, and, so I wouldn't feel that we have made a mistake.
I mean, honestly, I would agree. Yeah, I mean, we have our, preferences, I think, and I have a preference of which one the city forward with. But ultimately, the city staff are going to be the ones that are going to be implementing this. So as much as we can, I mean, our role is advisory, right? And so I think we've done a good job of looking at a couple of really good options. I think, one is a little bit ahead of the other, but ultimately the city staff also have to be comfortable implementing whichever software it is. I mean, it's not me sitting in that seat filling out all these things every day, right? So that's where, marketing teams are going to be responsible for making sure that this is successful, and then we can help facilitate it, right? Are there things we can do with it? Sure. But ultimately, it's going to rely on the city staff to be able to do it, and their comfort using it. It's going to be important. I think we have that somewhere. Yeah.
Anybody have a different opinion on that question? Let me ask a side question. If neither one were picked and staff decided to go with one of the other two, how upset would you be on that decision?
I just don't know if civic writing is going to give you something, but what we wanted, what we talked about, and what is the need of it. I don't think they even want those two basic criteria because it's more relevancy.
You can get that information from the news app, for Channel 4,
Yeah, and the county has their notifications.
What if the pick was public input?
We don't know as much about, I didn't feel like I got as much information. I'd be sort of in the blind.
it's their fault.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
It could be perfectly fine. I don't know that I have a strong opinion on it, seeing as, like I was saying, we're sort of in an advisory capacity, so they're the ones that have to run it. So if they're gonna figure it out, I'm great.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it.
So what necessarily
the demo is not necessarily the fault, but there's, the demo.
We had some access issues.
We had some access.
Yeah.
I mean,
and so it really was.
no, I went in and did some additional research on public input and try to look at the back end user side of things and everything else. And again, I mean, similar to, and that's kind of why I structured my feedback the way it did, which is out of those three, public input, Polko, and Zen City, you're going to get the same basic stuff. You will give up some features for one versus the other. The back end user stuff with public input was fine. And I'll go back to my statement I said before, which is ultimately the staff have to be the ones that can execute it. I think, I think one's going to be a stronger support mechanism long term than probably the other two, but the other two could still facilitate, a strong way for the city to engage with the community. So, yeah, I mean, I guess my feelings won't be heard anyway.
I think it's build this amazing microsite out of it. So it really does come to who's going to staff it and run it, is that to be able to keep that content fresh, to be able to, build this microsite within city, and do all of the things that it's able to do. I mean, that's not really us doing that. So I think it is really important to whoever's going to run it, that this is something that they want to be doing. Otherwise, I don't know about public input, but, Poco, I think it's a lot more.
Transactional.
Yeah, you're not really having to do much to keep that up. You want to, run a survey, then you can run a survey, but otherwise it's kind of just hands off.
Yeah, Poco or public input was kind of said.
Kind of similar, yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas, Zen City, I think you have to do a lot more maintenance with that, but you can do so much more.
Mark, were there any more specific questions you wanted to get information from this group on this?
I think I've heard everything that I need to hear, and so I'm going to invoke the wise words of a former colleague of mine. The horse is dead. We need to dismount.
Thank you, Mark.
Yippee-yi-yay.
Um,
About 10 after, 12 after.
should we, like, I know that.
These next ones, I think can go pretty quickly, Rob. I will say, I'd like to, again, because we have this group, I got new topics I was not even thinking of myself. I like most of the ones you sent in that, I had not thought of as possibilities before, just like I did with Bill a month ago. So keep them coming in.
Okay, so will there any other additional ones from the commission? That John help me Brian segment for the city podcast or the city cabin?
And on the podcast idea, again, as you come up with concepts, just email me, give me a call, even format of the show, not just the topic, but are there little continuing things that we could have as an ongoing element that we may want to put in there each time.
Question for you on the podcast. Two things. One, is there a central repository of kind of general running ideas that we could access to see what's out there?
I can share with you my notes if that's what you're
I just
asking
came up
about.
with something like, okay, 2:00 in the morning. Wake up, you want to see what's floating out.
I can share that out.
Okay.
Like I said before, I have literally at least a year's worth of topics right now.
Okay.
If we do it bi-weekly. City Academy, different topic. I do have a year's worth of topics for the podcast.
Okay. And then just another, from an idea standpoint, as far as engaging with the city, using it to engage with the community. If you thought about, I don't know if this came up before, so it has, put my foot in my mouth. But utilizing any relationships with either Ridgeline High School or Selkirk Middle School, if they have an AD program that's kids that want to get involved with podcasts or with radio broadcasts or things like that, and utilizing them, journalism, and any of those kind of folks, kids that have those interests might be great hosts or co-hosts to participate, and then would also likely open up another audience that might not normally listen because, hey, my kid's co-hosting the city podcast, so I'm going to tune in.
Possibly some team-generated shows, oriented shows. See, that's why we're bringing you into this, because I would not have thought of that, even though I'm a education advocate for a lot of years in my work.
I brought up a city academy suggestion about same thing on the Ridgeline or
Yeah.
That's interested in government, all it takes to maybe do maybe for a week, maybe for a month, maybe for a day or something, and have my essay, and then pick somebody that, so I have this money, it's been, give us the data. Right? 2023 plan. So I think that we're still trying to work on the development of 2023. And one of the things, I mean, it has to go just beyond, we always have that farmer's market, we have the amends. But other ideas to 2023. That we can expand on so that we can take everything out for the upcoming year.
Yeah.
I guess let the record show that Summer did show up.
I'll watch the beginning of this, and then made it before.
Upcoming opportunities.
I actually have one, sort of an opportunity, more like news to share. Terry Peters contacted me about a month ago, and because of her overloaded work schedule, she's decided that, well, initially her phrasing was she wanted to end her tenure during the end of her current term, which she thought was the end of this month. Her term actually ends end of December of next year, so I contacted her back and said, well, do you intend to withdraw this year or next December? She says, oh, well, let me think about that. So she did come in contact with me again about a week ago, and she says, because of the work situation, she will have to interrupt her service here after this month. But she is open to possibly returning or assisting on a volunteer basis once her workload gets back to more a manageable state. We did have somebody apply for the commission a couple months ago. We weren't able to bring this person in because it was from an area that was filled. But with Terry being gone here soon, I am going to be contacting that person to see if this person is still interested, and then we will conduct an interview. Probably it would involve me, hopefully the mayor, and Robin. I don't think I've officially talked to you about this, but hopefully Robin and one other person from this group. And possibly, I may pursue to see if this person and the rest of the group could convene as early as next week for maybe an hour. I know next week is, has other things going on, but if we can do that next week, we will. Or I'm even throwing the option of it, the last week of the month or into January if necessary. But we do have a potential person to fill that spot.
Questions on, I know that we finalized the goal statement bylaws for the last meeting, and when does that go to the time?
Mark, did you hear that?
No.
Could you get closer to the microphone? Robin wants to know, does the CEC's goals, mission statement, et cetera, that was discussed a couple meetings ago, bylaws, does that have to go to city council, or is it just what the group is established is what's established?
Yeah, so according to the establishing ordinance, the group is responsible for setting its bylaws. And so once that's done and once that's done and you've voted on it, the bylaws are the bylaws.
Taken care of. Did you hear that? Okay. Good question.
See everybody. The end of the year.
And I'll just add, me being a new person for this job, I just want to thank everybody's efforts for starting out with this new group, this new venture for 2022. I think you've this group has really grown well, I think. I'm seeing a nice sharp focus on some of the activities you've been doing. So as we wrap up the end of year one of this group, I just want to thank you, congratulate all of you for being a part of this and doing some good contributions. I'm sure my fellow new staff member, Mark, would concur with me on this. And, you know, the rest of the city staff. Fine job on year one, everybody. On to year two.
Thanks for your help.
Thank you. Oh, second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. And I think it's David wants to.